Welcome to episode 64 of the BRASH Sports Podcast, brought to you by Eggs. From the chicken's ass to your plate, you can always count on eggs. Today on the show, Kevin Durant drops in to explain how the Suns got their asses kicked. The NFL draft was seemingly months ago. Perfect time for us to break it down and give our opinions on everything that happened and revisit our quarterback predictions. We'll do an extensively deep dive into our NBA and NHL brackets, and finally, who won the Kentucky Derby? The answer will shock you. All that and more on this week's episode of the BRASH Sports Podcast.
And welcome back to episode 64 of your BRASH Sports Podcast. Josh, took a week off this past week. We can put that on me, okay? There was some scheduling conflicts. It just wasn't meant to be, but
we deserved some time off, man. Let's be honest. We've been working our fingers to the bone at this podcast, bringing out the hottest takes. And sometimes you just need a little break to refresh yourself, refresh the brain. So we deserved it. Don't feel bad about canceling last week. I certainly didn't feel like recording. I was feeling lazy too. So
okay.
But I will put the blame squarely on you.
Yes. Okay. I'm fine with that. But yes, also agree that it was a well-deserved bye week, so to speak. But we're back for Cinco de Mayo, Josh. That's right. It's Cinco de Mayo today.
I totally forgot.
I just remembered that because I'm looking at the date right now in front of me. Oh yeah, that's right. It doesn't feel like a Cinco de Mayo. It's all gloomy and shitty outside. It just doesn't feel like a Cinco de Mayo. You want to go to a Mexican restaurant, get a big, fat, spicy margarita. Not that I've ever had one of those. I'm sure they're good.
Oh, they're amazing. Yeah.
It's fun saying spicy margarita. But let's get into our quick NFL draft recap because we like to get to things nice and late here at BRASH Sports. So we're sticking with that tradition. Yeah. And we're going to just touch on some quick things since we haven't had an opportunity to talk about it. But overall, no real big surprises in the top four. The top three quarterbacks that we thought were going to go in the order that we predicted, sure as shit, did go as planned, and the Cardinals could not pass up on Harrison Jr. So top four, no surprises there. But then things took a turn, Josh. Now we did our mock drafts for our top 10. Joe Alt ended up going to the Chargers. And then I did hear, because I had Joe Alt going to the Giants, there was speculation that the Giants really wanted Joe Alt. Sure. So had the Chargers not pulled the trigger there, then the Giants could have actually went for Joe Alt instead of your boy Malik Neighbors. But I'm sure you're happy things worked out the way they did, right?
Yeah. No, I definitely think wide receiver is more of a need for us than left tackle. As long as Andrew Thomas can stay on the fucking field, he's phenomenal, but that's just it. He's always hurt, it seems like. So I would not have been upset, though. I don't think you can ever have enough quality offensive linemen. So I would not have been sad about that. But Malik Neighbors, man, just after watching all of his highlights, every ounce of highlights that they provided for us, dude, he's so good. I can't wait to see him on the field. I just hope he's got some diva-ish tendencies.
He's confident as all hell, dude. I mean,
he's
good
confident
for him,
as all hell. So, you kind of want that, but also you don't want it to be a hindrance in the locker room. You don't want him stirring the pot too much, but hopefully he takes that confidence on the field and performs because he could be a game changer.
We'll see if we can get him on next week for a
little
BRASH interview.
Yeah. Let's set that up. Let's
one-on-one. The Falcons, they did surprise everybody because nobody saw the Falcons taking Michael Penix. That kind of came out of nowhere. And number 8 overall. I mean, come on. I know a lot of people are saying, well, it's not a bad move because, it's okay to have depth at the quarterback position. It's like, well, no shit. But I just feel like this was a bit of a jump for him at 8 overall, man. I mean, and I also feel like they probably could have gotten Penix by trading up later, in between picks 16 to 22. They probably could have still
Maybe.
picked him up.
I don't think he falls past the Raiders though, because Raiders drafted like 13. Raiders would have
Okay.
taken Penix if he was still there. So I think they had to get him at 8 if they didn't want to trade back ahead of the Raiders, which is why they took him. But I just don't think you take a quarterback in that spot. But I digress. I'll let you finish.
Well, yeah, no, I mean that's pretty much the thought is that they just signed Kirk Cousins to what is it, a 3-year deal, 4-year deal?
4-year, 160 million.
Yeah, and like 70 million guaranteed or some shit. So
Yeah.
that's such an investment in your quarterback, and then to use a top 10 pick, top 8 pick on another quarterback, they justify it by saying we're thinking of the future, but what, like 5 years into the future? I mean, I don't know. I don't get it, but I'm glad it's not my team. I'm not a Falcons fan.
The reason the reason you bring Kirk Cousins in is because your division is winnable right now, and you brought Kirk Cousins in to instantly give you the best quarterback in the division. And typically, if you look at all of the divisions in football, the best quarterbacks are winning them. So they go, let's go get the best quarterback in this division. We've got playmakers. We just, their weakness to me was obviously on defense. And if they had just gotten a solid edge rusher or cornerback,
you said Dallas Turner, right? That was your pick.
I said Dallas Turner just because of the SEC, like the Southeast connection. I don't know. Just looking at names, it just sounded right. It's just weird that they would, invest so much in Kirk and then draft Penix to sit on the bench. And now if Kirk Cousins goes down, because he is coming off an Achilles injury, and he is an older quarterback, if he goes down or isn't able to play, okay, now you guys look like geniuses, but only to a certain extent, because you're still paying Kirk Cousins so much money. And if Penix ends up being your guy, Kirk Cousins is the highest paid backup in NFL history by a fucking mile. So I just don't the pick made no sense to me. And I hope it works out for him, because I've been a Michael Penix guy this whole time. I've always said he had the best arm talent in the draft by far, I think. But it just, in that spot, in this scenario, it was very hard for me to wrap my mind around.
Do they still have Taylor Heineke?
I don't know. I mean, I think at this point you got to cut ties.
I certainly hope so. What the hell kind of quarterback room they got going on over there? I know I'm not rooting for anybody to get injured, but just a quick thought. It would be kind of funny if Cousins gets injured, it would be funny if then Penix has to come in and he sucks.
Man,
they're like, oh crap.
Yeah, that would be
the odds of, how many quarterbacks were taken in the first round? 4 or 5?
6.
Jesus. So probably 2 of them will be decent, if or elite at some point in their career, but any more than 2, that's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, so, dude, look at historically
it's
in the
crapshoot. Yeah,
it's totally a crapshoot. It's like probably 1 out of 5 hits. So 6 go in the first round. You're lucky if 2 of them are good. That means 4 teams are, stuck with a shit burger.
Yeah. Speaking of which, the Vikings traded up to number 10 with the New York Jets to get their guy JJ McCarthy. They seem absolutely in love with that kid. So, and that's kind of local, right? Michigan and Minnesota. I mean, it's close enough.
Close enough.
So, who knows? Maybe his family were Vikings fans. Who the fuck knows? No, they'll probably shitty Lions fans, but
I don't even know if he's from Michigan though. He just played at Michigan.
That's a good point.
I have no idea where he's from.
Broncos, they just sat at 12 and they took Bo Nix. You called it, Josh, all those months ago. You called it. You said it was going to happen. And of course, I love that pick. I think he's going to do great with Sean Payton and the Broncos. I'm excited to see what they can do there. And then the Raiders, they got an absolute steal, in my opinion, at 13 with Brock Bowers landing in their lap. So overall, those are my highlights. I didn't know if there's anything else you wanted to touch on, Josh, before we skim over our quarterback predictions. Mine did not go too well. But no, on the other hand, you have some things to gloat about. So
I do. Yeah, just to cap off the draft, it was just just kind of a crazy draft that I think the first 14 picks or first 13, I don't know. The first defensive player didn't go off the board till the middle of the first round. That was wild.
That is crazy.
It's insane. It was, I mean, the longest streak in NFL history, but it just shows you the league is pivoting to offense. They've been pivoting, but now it's like official. GMs are taking note and they're like, look, we have to make sure we have a surefire offense because now the refs are throwing flags on the defense every single play. It's like, doesn't even matter. You just need a team that can keep up with the other team and hopefully have the ball last and go score. So that's where we're headed, and it's going to make for should make for a lot of high scoring games, a lot of excitement, but it is kind of a bummer because you and I, we like a good defense. We like a team that's winning because their defense is fucking knocking people around, but you can tell there's a total shift. So take that for what it's worth, Brandon.
I would, personally, if I had a choice between a dominant offense and a dominant defense, I'm living in the past. I would still choose dominant defense. I just love those defenses that teams are intimidated by.
Sure.
And a dominant defense can take on any dominant offense. So whatever. I understand why, it was mostly offense, in the first 20 picks of this year's draft, but and I'm happy with what my Redskins did. I hope it all works out. After hearing Jaden Daniels talk in his presser, I think he comes off as a pretty smart, dedicated dude. But again, crapshoot. You have no idea, you know, he could be rookie of the year or he could just be a bum. So we shall see. But so our quarterback predictions that we did a few months ago, why did we do this? Was there something in particular? Was it just the end of the season?
I think we did it right after the Super Bowl.
Okay. All right.
I don't know for sure.
That sounds right. It sounds like something we would do.
Yeah.
But I'm looking back and I'm laughing at my list because literally none of them are correct except for the quarterbacks that are returning. I threw the Giants out there just because Daniel Jones, we both said that, but I thought maybe they could draft, Penix. Because I did have the Giants drafting a quarterback and him eventually replacing Daniel Jones. That did not happen. And I also had, Geno Smith starting for the Seahawks, but now apparently that's not even guaranteed. Apparently they really like Sam Howell. So there might be a quarterback competition there before the season gets going. But of course, Caleb Williams to the Bears. If you didn't pick that, you're just not paying attention. But everything else wrong. Everything. I mean, I had Drake May to the Redskins. I had Kirk Cousins going to the Steelers. I don't know. I thought that sounded good, but your predictions, Josh, you were spot on. I guess you got what? You got three big ones. With
three pretty big ones. I mean, the biggest of note that is the most random is predicting Gardner Minshew to the Raiders.
Unbelievable, yeah.
And it looks like he's gonna be their starter. That's crazy to me. I just saw the name, pictured him in black and silver, and just went with it. But I got him. I got the Broncos drafting Bo Nix, which wasn't the hottest take, but still pretty crazy. Daniel Jones returning. Russell Wilson to the Steelers. I was on really early. I hadn't even heard a whisper of that, but it just made sense in my mind. So those were the crazy ones. I don't see any others that, are insane. But here's one that I threw out that might still happen. It wouldn't be for the start of the season, but let's say something wacky happens in Atlanta and, the 49ers don't have a great start to their season. Maybe a little Cousins before the trade deadline to the 49ers. I don't know. I did predict that. And
do you think they would rather take on that contract that the Vikings drafted up, or the Falcons rather drafted up, instead of just signing Brock Purdy to a new contract?
I think it all depends on how he plays. I don't know. Something just tells me they're just not as sold on Brock Purdy as the rest of the country is. I don't know why. It's just a
I
gut
know
feeling.
you're not, you don't seem sold on Brock Purdy, but I feel
I
like
think
at this point,
I think
he's
he's
been
good.
consistent enough, you know. He's kind of like Alex Smith, like that's how I view him. When Alex Smith was at his best, that's just, he's not the most flashy quarterback with, the most impressive throws. He had a couple in the playoffs this past year, but that's probably why nobody wants to really give him the seal of approval, so to speak. But I don't know. I like Brock Purdy. I think I would stick with him, but I know I could definitely see him playing for Kyle Shanahan again. That'd be interesting.
Shanahan has openly said how much he likes Kirk Cousins.
Mhm.
That's the only reason why I'm kind of sticking to this limb. I can just picture Kirk Cousins as a 49er and not as a Falcon for sure, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. That would be one of the crazier ones, though, if I called that one too.
Oh, and by the way, there was just before we move on officially to our NBA playoffs update. Did you hear that Tom Brady was recently interviewed and somebody threw out, like if somebody went down for they use the 49ers as an example, would you take that call? And he's like, yeah, I think I would, or something like that.
He'll take a call, but I
Yeah.
think it would have to be a really crazy situation. I can't picture him coming back, but
no, me neither.
He is a partial owner of the Raiders, right?
So there's a conflict of interest. So therefore, he probably can't.
I don't know. Yeah, I was going to say I don't think he can. So.
No, hell no. All right, let's move right along.
Unless could he play for the Raiders is the question.
Now that would be pretty fucking cool. All right,
if he Michael Jordan's it.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, all right, enough of this Gardner Minshew. Let me show these kids how it's done.
Devontae, go deep.
His first play is like Aaron Rodgers and Jets. He just goes down immediately. Everyone's like, "Oh my god!"
He runs onto the field holding the American flag.
Yeah, he has to do the whole bit.
Yeah.
Oh man! All right. So our NBA playoffs update. We did fill out our brackets last time. Things are moving fast, Josh. And my bracket, I felt confident about it when we filled them out, and it's looking pretty damn good. Thunder, they got the sweep. They bust out those brooms against the Pelicans. The Mavs, they got past the Clippers in 6. The T-Wolves have been very impressive. They got a very surprising sweep over the Suns, your championship pick. So I'm sorry about that, but now they now they're matched up rather with the Nuggets, who are my championship pick, and they already have a 1-0 lead in the conference semis against them. But the Nuggets, they of course beat the Lakers in 5. I was predicting a sweep. I think we both did.
Yeah.
But it's what did you call it? The gentleman's sweep.
The gentleman's sweep. They let they let the Lakers get one so that they could get their home team or their home the home game walk off. So
and the Lakers just fired their coach too. Did you see that? He got the old boot.
I did see that. Yeah, that happened the other day.
Yep, indeed it did. The
LeBron pointing fingers. What is new?
Well, he's not committed to staying with the Lakers, apparently. Like, they asked him, and he's like, oh, I haven't really thought about it. It's like, if you haven't thought about it, then that means you have thought about it, because that means you're not committed to staying there. So if you were, you would just say yes.
He'll stay.
That guy's annoying. I think he just likes the attention.
Of course he does.
The Knicks, they knock out the Sixers in 6. Go figure. The Pacers, they said, see you later to the Milwaukee Bucks. That was one both of us felt a little iffy about, and unfortunately, because we both agreed that the Bucks were going to take it, it did make and break our parlay. So thanks a lot, Indiana Pacers. The Boston Celtics, they got past the Heat in 5, and the Cavaliers and the Magic, they have Game 7 tonight or today. Soon. Yeah,
30 minutes.
It's going shit. All right, well, let's go to the NHL playoff update. And that's in Cleveland, right?
In Cleveland, yep.
Okay. All right.
you're on the Magic to win. I'm on Cleveland to win, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
This is a big one.
it's a
This is a big
big
one.
game for Brash. So yeah, I mean, nothing too crazy in this bracket other than the Suns getting swept. To me, was
Dude.
I understand them losing. I think Minnesota is a very good team, and part of the reason, actually, I would say the main reason that I had them going all the way is because I picked them a fucking year ago, and I'm stubborn like that. And I am openly stubborn. I admit to it. I admit my stubbornness. So I really stuck with them, but getting swept, come on. You have got arguably the most talented top 3 players of any team. Like, they're the most top heavy team. They have no bench, but their top is heavy, and it should have at least gotten them a game or two. I mean, to get swept is just embarrassing. That is the most disappointing team I think I can remember in any playoff in NBA history, is to have those 3 guys get swept. I don't know. It's just inexcusable to me. And yeah, the Bucks Pacers, man. If Giannis was healthy, that's a totally different series, but the Pacers are super good. Like Pascal Siakam, when he's on, he is one of the most dangerous guys in the league. They've got great ball movement. They play with a lot of chemistry. And that's one thing I want to note here is that chemistry is winning in this playoffs. And it's so fun to watch because we talk about leagues pivoting. The NBA is pivoting to not being hey, let's assemble a super team league. It's official. And I've been saying it for a little while that it seems it's building to this, but chemistry is winning. So now teams drafting and developing, and then maybe bringing in like a guy to fit into that mold, a missing piece guy. That's what's winning right now, and it's refreshing to see because you hate seeing I'm going to South Beach to play with 2 other all-stars and we're gonna fucking dominate the league. That's fucking nobody wants to. Well, I don't want to see that. Some people want to see that, but it's just more fun when it's homegrown talent, guys that have been on the team for a while, guys that fit into the system, and good chemistry basketball is just more entertaining than what the Suns tried to do, which is, all right, feed it to one of our 3 best players and let them go one-on-one ISO and try and make a play. Not as fun as watching the Pacers whip the ball around and people moving and setting screens, and it's way more fun to watch that. So I love where the league is at right now, and I think it's just going to be a great finish to these playoffs.
Will Durant be playing for the Suns at the beginning of next season, Josh, or is he out?
I think he's out.
Okay.
And I think I heard someone float the Knicks as a possible landing spot, and I love that fit. I think that would be fucking awesome. Especially if the Knicks don't go all the way this year, which I think that they'll beat the Pacers, and I think they'll get beaten by the Celtics if the Celtics move on, which, I mean, they're going to be facing either the Cavs or Magic. So I think the Celtics should sweep whoever comes out of the series, and the Knicks should be able to beat the Pacers. And if the Celtics beat the Knicks, then the Knicks are going to look at it like, we need one more go get a bucket guy, and there's no better go get a bucket guy than Durant. So you got a superstar going to one of the most pivotal, biggest franchises in the NBA, in the brightest spotlight, in the biggest arena. It would be really cool to see. And I think he would be a good fit in their system because he doesn't have to be a leader. Jalen Brunson is their leader, and they have a good system. He just needs to, be a cog in a wheel, which he was in Golden State, which is the only time he's won titles, is when he was, a cog in the wheel that fit in the system that someone else was leading. He's not a leader. He's just a really, really good scorer of the basketball. So I would love to see him in the Knicks. And someone floated that out. I want to see that happen.
Yeah, I'm looking up. Is it Thibodeau? Is that how you say it?
Yes,
head coach?
Thibodeau.
Tom
Thibodeau.
Thibodeau.
Tom Tippy Toes.
Tom Tippy Toes won the NBA Finals with the Celtics in 2008. It's already been that long. My God, where does the time go? But Yeah, no, I think they've got something brewing there in the Big Apple, Josh. So yeah, I would love to see him go to the Knicks. And I told you I floated out the what if LeBron follows him to New York, and they team up. I wouldn't be surprised to see that either. But I don't want LeBron stealing any of Durant's thunder. So,
Speaking of,
so yeah. Yeah, speaking of, okay, for a second I thought I missed the Thunder. I'm like, no, that was the first one I mentioned.
yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Game 7 for the Cavs Magic that is coming up quickly. So you want to get to our NHL playoff update, Josh?
Yeah, dude. Let's take a long time breaking down these brackets.
Yeah, exactly.
Thorough,
And
in-depth coverage.
yeah, we'll give you the best player from each individual game. So starting with game 1 of the Colorado Avalanche and the Winnipeg Jets, my MVP and not so MVP, because you have to pick who was the most disappointing player too. No, I don't know any of their players, but I do know that the Colorado Avalanche did beat the Jets in 5. That I can tell you with confidence.
And
I looked it up.
It's pretty interesting because you and I are both tied in terms of how many points we've gotten in our brackets, and we have the same amount of picks right, same wrong, and there's a game 7 today that we're split on. So
here we
big
go
game
again.
coming up. Anyway, I'll let you do your thing.
7.
It's still fun.
Both game 7. So yeah, so Colorado, that was one I did get wrong. I did have Winnipeg, at least getting past Colorado, but shame on me. I was wrong. What do I know? The Canucks, they beat the Predators in 6. So goodbye to the Nashville Predators. Bummer.
Bummer.
That one I did actually pick correct, but again, Predators weren't expected to get too far on this playoff ride. The Oilers, they beat the Kings in 5 with ease. The Canes, they beat up on the Islanders in 5. Rangers, they got the brooms out for the Caps. It just wasn't the Caps' year. There was something wrong with Ovi. I know Daniel is going to want to jump in at some point, probably, right before I imagine we'll be close to the final, the Stanley Cup playoffs, and he'll definitely want to give his 10 cents on what happened there, because according to Daniel, he thinks Oshie's going to retire. He thinks there's a chance that Ovi could retire, or he thinks there's a chance that Ovi could go to another team. But I don't want to speak for him too much. I will let him break that one down. But yeah, he had a lot to say about the Caps getting swept. I didn't see the Caps making it too far. I didn't see a sweep coming, but you get kicked out, you get kicked out. I really don't. There's no such thing as getting eliminated in style. The Bruins, they beat the Maple Leafs in 7. That was quite the series there. Came down to overtime, right? And that
overtime last night.
Golden bucket goal.
The golden bucket, dude. And yeah, game 7 overtime in hockey is maybe the best you can get in sports, because it's fucking do or die, and it's so stressful. And I don't give a shit about the Bruins or the Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
But I was on the edge of my seat last night watching. And yeah, I did have the Bruins, because you can't pick the Maple Leafs in the playoffs because this is what they do. So the biggest city in the most hockey loving country in the world, their team fucking chokes every year. It's hilarious.
Was it the first overtime or second overtime, or
it was
how
first?
Long did it take
it was just one overtime, I think. I don't know. I was also playing on my phone a lot. I was on the edge of my seat also on my phone, but I'll look it up real quick.
The Panthers, they beat the Lightning in 5, and that game 7 you touched on a little earlier, Josh, where we are split. I have the Dallas Stars beating the Vegas Golden Shower Knights, and you have picked the Golden Shower Knights. So
love a good golden shower.
Yeah, this will be an interesting one, because those are 2 game 7s today that we are split on. And yeah, if you want to get that Scott Van Pelt signed autographed picture, then you have to produce in these brackets. Okay, it's very important.
Yeah,
you show your worth. But I don't really have too much more. Did you get any more insight on how many overtimes it was? Was it definitely one? Okay.
Just one. Yeah. I was right. It was a long night.
Okay.
Long night for me. But yeah, our Oilers are still alive, Brandon. The
Yep.
Oilers are still alive. So you still have a chance to go 3 out of 4 in your championship parlay from last year. I can only do as well as 2 out of 4 because the Suns are now officially eliminated. But our Oilers still alive.
Part of me does not want to go 3 out of 4. It would be just too painful because I don't get anything for that. And then I would just be like, why didn't I pick the Chiefs? You know, like that just would have been such an easy pick.
But think about this though. You picked the team that plays the Chiefs better than any other team. You just lost your quarterback. So I mean, that's like getting 3.5 out of 4. You know what I mean? Because if anyone was going to beat the Chiefs last year, it was the Bengals. So
it'll be interesting to see how Burrow comes back from that injury and how the Bengals look next year. But we'll be making our next championship parlay picks a few weweeks from now. So that'll be the season finale, right?
That's usually what we do. Yeah.
That sounds about right. Yeah. Kentucky Derby, the 150th running, Josh. You know, it seems like just yesterday it was the 120th. I've never kept track. I was just like, when I kept saying that yesterday, I'm like, do they always say what number it is? Is that something that they normally do, or they just do it because it's 150 and they like that number?
They always mention it, but yeah, I mean, when you have 150, you're really gonna take note. I mean, it's a landmark, date. So good for them. Good for all those white people at the Kentucky Derby.
So many white people.
Dude. I am not a fan of the term white privilege, but holy shit, was the white privilege on display yesterday, man.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's kind of annoying. They have how many hours of pre-show? It's like 4, right?
7.
They're not fucking around. Was it 7? Okay.
Yeah, it might have been. I think coverage started around noon my time, and they didn't race till like 6:30.
No, it was a little after 7 my time. Oh, yeah, okay. You're saying 6:30 your time. Okay. Yeah.
Time zones.
But yeah, they just kept saying, here's the expected race time, and it just kept getting pushed. And I'm like, what the fuck? How many more people with hats do they need to show, or pointless interviews? Like they're interviewing these celebrities, and nobody fucking knows what they're talking about. Like what are they gonna say? Like, and then everyone's like had their like little pick. They handed them like a card of the horse that they picked. I picked this one. It's like, yeah, but you didn't even know that horse existed until today, so who gives a shit?
It's so true. Now, there are some like diehard racing fanatics out there. Friend of the show and subscriber, Patty Mack, his dad follows horse racing and like gets geared up every year for the Kentucky Derby. It's big. It's like his Super Bowl, right? So there are people out there who do it, but I feel like most of those people can't afford to get to the Kentucky Derby because they're such degenerate gamblers on horse racing.
There you go.
So I don't know. By the way, his dad is not a degenerate gambler and is a great guy. I've met him many, many times. But it's just, I don't know. The pretentiousness is so gross at the Kentucky Derby. I tuned in. I was in and out of the pre-game, the pre-race, and eventually was just like, I'm not going back until we get much closer to the gate time because it's just so hard to watch. Look at my hat, look, and people are talking about, where did you get it? Who designed it? Why'd you go with this look? Shut the fuck up. Nobody gives a shit. Absolutely nobody.
Is there really anybody watching that? Like, oh my god, I can't miss this. Hey guys, shut up! I got to hear who designed this ugly ass hat she's wearing, and she'll never wear again.
She'll never wear again. It's literally just an attention grabber, and they go, "I want people to know that I can afford to be here, and I'm gonna just gravitate all that attention and energy into me and my hat." So when people look and go, "Look at that outrageous hat," that must be a very important white bitch underneath it. Like, I fucking hated it, dude. I couldn't get it off my TV fast enough. And it sucks because it takes away from the horse. Like, takes away from the horses. The horses should be
Yeah.
the focus of that. These big, beautiful animals. No animal has contributed more to the success of the human race than horses.
Yep.
And here we are dressing up and making it about ourselves and not these horses that we're about to whip and make run into a circle as fast as they can. It's crazy. What is wrong with us?
And we were talking about it yesterday. The owner gets all the praise.
Yeah.
The trainer gets all the praise. Whatever the trainer does, again, the big mystery there.
Yeah.
But the jockey and the horse itself, the one winning the goddamn race, no respect at all. It's
certainly not enough. Certainly not enough respect. And we won't get into the conversation we had yesterday. It was very funny, very graphic,
it's very detailed.
We won't go into the details of that, but you're right. Yeah, fuck the owners. I'm not educated enough on it to know if the trainers really have a big part in it or not. They probably have more than we think they do. But realistically, it's not like you respect a golfer's trainer because they have swing coaches and things like that. And it's like, it's a human talking to a human. You're not a human talking to a horse like, all right, when the gate opens, run as fast as you can. And they're like, God damn, that's the best trainer. And that trainer's good.
Yeah, look at him out there. You just see him talking to the horse like he's like, man, he's really telling that horse to run fast. He's one hell of a trainer, that guy.
So I'm with you 100%. And quite frankly, I don't want to look up what horse trainers do. I would rather assume they do nothing.
I'm going to keep assuming that, and I will not do any research whatsoever. Mystic Dan was your winner of the 150th running of the Derby. And he won, Josh, by a butthole hair. It was a close call. Photo finish, as they said about 500 times yesterday.
They really did.
They drilled that into you. It's a photo finish. It's like, okay, 150 of these, there's probably been 100 photo finishes. Like, what are we talking about here? Now, the fact there were 3 horses instead of 2, that made it a little bit more interesting. I had Sierra Leone. Again, just because I just picked it off of the name and the name alone. But that was one that just by a hair got the loss. It came in second. And Forever Young, that was one of the Japanese horses I think that we were talking about. And I did pick in another because we placed some bets. And I was another winner I picked. So my 2 winners came in second and third. Didn't get anything there. And surprisingly, neither of us won any money off the Derby unless you placed some bets without telling me.
No, I can't. In Tennessee, you are not allowed to bet.
Oh, that's right.
Horses online.
Yeah,
so, no, you just placed the one bet for me. My process is to look at the list of names, see which name I like the most, which name kind of jumps off of the sheet for me, and that was Grand Mo the first. That's right. I love that name. I didn't even look at the odds or anything. I said just put $5 on Grand Mo.
It would have been a hefty out.
Yeah, would have been a hefty payout because it turns out he was like way down the list.
Yeah.
Nobody thought Grand Mo was going to win, and they were correct. So he was bad. Like I saw him, I was tracking him, out of the gate, and it wasn't long before I couldn't track him anymore because he was so far back.
He's off the screen, Yeah. All of a sudden you see his tracker going in the opposite direction. Like, what the fuck? That trainer must be drunk.
He just went,
run this way. Run this way.
Yeah, so Grand Mo, rest in peace. He's probably dead by now. And but the rest of them, man, good for them.
God. Yeah, he's at the glue factory.
He's at the glue factory.
If he's not making his owner and trainer money, then what's the fucking point?
By the way, you did have Mystic Dan in your trifecta, so he was in your top 3. So
I did.
You were all over it, only to walk away with $0.
Walk away with a big whopping $0.00. I had Sierra Leone. Fierceness was the overall favorite. Like so much
big
for fierceness.
Disappointment.
And
talk about a glue factory.
And fierceness. He's definitely at the glue factory right now. And then I had Mystic Dan getting third. So
all right.
Oh well, again, it's fun to watch.
Yeah,
it's fun to bet on. And, until, of course, a horse breaks its leg and they have to,
Kill
shoot it in the head right there in front of everybody. But other than that, it's quite the spectacle, Josh.
Yeah, it's just any networks covering just enough with the 7 hours of pre-race stuff. We can't handle it anymore.
If you're watching any more than 30 minutes of the pre-show, shame on you. Shame. So much shame. I can't express enough the amount of shame you should feel.
They do run preliminary races throughout. So I get that. Like, again,
if you want to see those races, you go. All right, you go to Churchill Downs. You see it in person.
Or again, you're such a degenerate that you're betting on the pre-races. And then you have to watch all 7 hours. But that's a tough day.
That's too much.
That's a tough day. Yeah.
Well, I think that just about covers it, Josh. I think we got to get ready for our first Game 7 of the day with Cavs and Magic. Should be a good one. Do you know who's favored today? I guess it would be the Cavs, right?
The Cavs are favored by 3. The over/under is 195. I know because I was sprinkling some bets right before we recorded. By the way, I took a long shot flyer on Paolo Banchero to have a triple double today at plus 5,000. So $5 pays out 250. So if you're watching, go ahead and root for Paolo Banchero to have a triple double, because if he does, I'll be a very happy dude.
Well, if you're watching, this episode will have come after the game because we cannot get it turned around in time.
I was really talking to you.
Oh, okay. I am watching.
Anyone listening right now, mainly FBI agents, NSA.
Anybody's keeping tabs on BRASH Nation.
But yeah, I think that about sums it up, dude. Let's go watch some basketball and hockey all day. Sounds like a good time to me.
Yeah, buddy. I like it. We did it. We're back. We're back, baby.
We're all the way back.
We're not taking another bye week for the remainder of this season. Okay.
Oh yeah,
we'll see.
That.
Maybe we will.
About that.
All right. Later, buddy.
Peace.
Peace.